Welcome to the Happy Hour with Rob Warner, an hour of stimulating conversation adding value to your financial future. Rob brings helpful insights into many aspects of the mortgage and real estate industry. Now, here's your host, Rob Warner.
Happy Monday, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Happy Hour. I'm Rob Warner with Guild Mortgage, and I'm glad to be with you again today. I have two guests with me. I have John Lauer from Hybrid Brokers Realty and Zack Finley from Finley Home Services. But before we bring any of them on, I want to give a plug to a restaurant that my wife and I frequent up in Cameron Park. It's called Thai Basil. They're in Burke Junction in Cameron Park. Great restaurant. Stop in there sometime. It's a lovely drive up the hill. Talk to Milky. She's the owner. And tell her Rob Warner sent you. So anyway, well, here we go. How's it going today, John?
It's going great. Hey, thank you for having me on the show today.
Oh, you're very welcome. I know that I've known you for a while, and I know you're a very seasoned realtor. So anyway, tell me a little bit about yourself first.
Well, I'm a Sacramento native. It seems like we're harder to find nowadays, but my wife as well, Sacramento native. So I've been married for 31 years.
Wow.
And yeah, I know that's
something
feat.
to be said right there. That's awesome.
Well, to find somebody who'll put up with me that long, that's pretty incredible. Yeah. Have a couple kids or adults, I guess now. My son's a police officer in Narlands, and my daughter here locally working, and have one grandbaby.
Well, how old?
2.5 years old, little girl.
Oh, way to go.
Yeah, she's a doll.
Yeah, I've got a couple grandkids of my own. They're great to have. That's for sure. They
took a little bit to get used to being called grandpa, but I've gotten to be used to it, and I like it now. So.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah,
very nice.
Yeah.
So talk to me about the market right now. What's going on in this real estate market out here?
The real estate market, for anybody who's involved with it, it is nuts. It is just nuts right now. And I look how busy it is. I look at the people that are out there trying to find homes and are getting frustrated. And what I did is, and I do this every once in a while, I went ahead and just pulled up the numbers. I'm kind of an analytical anyway, so I love getting the numbers. The May numbers are not out yet. I expect to be more of the same. But through the April month, every year since the big crash, real estate has kind of improved a little bit each year. Little bit. This year, though, however, compared to a year ago, we're down about 11% on homes for sale. Almost 11%.
11% from last year?
From last year, a year ago, which breaks the trend. And then also on those that have sold, they're down about 8%, and pendings are down 7%. Well, at first somebody can hear those numbers and maybe think, well, our real estate market's not doing so good. That's not the case. There's 11% less on the market, but there's only 8% less that are sold, which means that's 3% busier than it was before. There's more people competing for less homes, so it's actually busier. And so then I like to confirm those numbers, and I look at the average days on market right now. This is all of Sacramento, so different pockets are different.
This is the whole city of Sacramento.
All of Sacramento. Elk Grove might have an average days on market of a week, 5 days to 10 days. But Sacramento as a whole right now is at 26 days. A year ago was 31 days for the same month. So again, homes are on the market less time. And here's the one for homeowners and why I want to encourage those who haven't purchased yet. If you had owned a home a year ago, the average price per square foot of a home was running about $198 a foot. Now it's $216. We have a 10% increase on the average price per square foot of a home, meaning you've got about possibly a 10% increase in the value of your home just in the 1 year. Pretty incredible.
I'm seeing these increases. I'm getting off topic a little here on some of the stuff I was going to ask you, but I'm seeing increases like every month, which actually was going to parlay into my next question. Talk to me about buyers' frustrations, okay?
Well,
because this kind of goes with what I'm asking you, right? As far as increases and prices, almost.
It's hard to keep up. And even appraisers, I was looking at an appraisal that came in today, and appraisers are putting, if a home closed 2 months ago versus today, they're putting a big, $5,000 to $6,000 on top of the price just because of time, adding that to the value of the home for the appraisal. We had one today, and I'm sorry, this is off just a little bit of your question, but I had an appraisal come in today. We put an offer in on a house at $450,000, and we thought we might struggle to get that appraised. It came in at $464, $14,000 over what we thought was stretching it. So the problem for buyers out there, though, is that you're seeing a lot of buyers trying to put in offers on homes, and they're 8, 10, 12 times they're putting in offers on homes, and they're not getting them. There's just not that much inventory. People are overbidding. There's a lot of cash money again. We're seeing a lot of money come in from the Bay Area and some from overseas. And so for the people who live here who are trying to buy a home, buyers are getting really frustrated right now. It's very challenging for them to get into a home.
Well, how's that Bay Area money? How do you think in the long term that's going to play out? Because that makes me a little nervous. I mean, it's driving up the prices quite a bit because those folks have a lot of money, right? They're coming in with a lot of cash.
I agree. So I've had people ask me before, they're thinking, hey, I think we're getting back into a bubble. And I've always said, there doesn't have the same ingredients in the market to be a bubble like we had before. Having said that, I think we're starting to get some ingredients that could have more of a localized bubble. One being that Bay Area money. There's a lot of people that are either investing here or they're just saying, hey, I can't buy a home down in the Bay Area. Mm-hmm. And so they're coming here, moving this way, or just trying to commute from Sacramento. And that money is artificially putting our prices up higher, which are already artificially high because of the lack of inventory. Right now, the inventory, I was just looking at that number too, we have about 1.1 months worth of inventory, meaning that if no more homes were listed starting today, in just barely over a month, there would be no homes available on the market.
And you're talking about the whole Sacramento area.
Talking about the whole Sacramento
area. There might be
area.
other communities that are even shorter than that, right?
That's true. If you break it down into the other areas, absolutely.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It scares me, this Bay Area money, though, because it's driving up the prices and causing people here that don't have the high incomes, it's almost going to put them out of the market. Will it or not, or will it balance out? What do you think?
It can. There's a certain demographic that's going to be put out of the market, but in most cases what it's going to do is if before you could qualify for, well, I guess that wouldn't change. If you can qualify for a $350,000 home, it just means a $350,000 home tomorrow is not the same home that you could buy today.
Okay, I got it.
Okay? So,
I got it.
Yeah.
Talk to me about sellers' frustrations then.
So sellers have, it's interesting, they have a fun, I guess that wouldn't be a frustration, but they do have one issue. Sellers are amazed because right now they put it on the market and all of a sudden they've got, I've had one the other day that I was putting an offer in with one of my clients. There was 24 offers on the home.
What price point was that home?
This one was just under $300,000. Just
that
under
many
3.
offers.
Yeah. And so it's nice that they get to choose from it. There's quite a few cash offers, so if they need a quick close, it's there, but then they have all the options. But I think what's making this market even worse as far as the inventory is that a lot of these sellers that would like to move up are afraid to sell because they're afraid they're not going to be able to buy. And so I was looking at my list. I have 5 listings that are coming on in the next 2 weeks. And most all of them are somebody that's either moving out of state, moving into a care facility, it's a rental property they're selling. Almost all of them, I think only have one of the 5 that actually wants to move up to another home, a purchase. And so there's a lot of sellers that love the fact that they can get top dollar for their house, but they're really concerned about if they're going to be able to get into a home.
Yeah, you're lucky on those, huh? Those 4 of those, you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, that's not an issue for them.
But what do you do about the ones that are, worried about getting it? How do you explain that to somebody that wants to sell a home and is scared?
Because that's a good question, and there's several options. Again, the seller in this market has all the power, if you will. They get the decision. So they can either sell and say that they require a certain amount of rent back. They can say that it's contingent upon me finding a home. And there's still enough buyers out there. I mean, they're just chomping at the bit to find homes that there's usually several of those offers that can either give you a longer rent back. If it's a cash offer, they can rent back as long as you need. Or just have it contingent upon the sale of a home. So somebody says, okay, I've tied this one up. This is my home. Now I just have to wait for the seller to find another home to move into. And they're willing to do that as well. So there's a couple. Now the downside to that, because it sounds good at first blush, but in this market, there's very few contingent offers accepted from buyers. So if that seller's selling their house and they have a contingent to that buyer who's purchasing their house, that means they're writing a contingent offer on the one they want to buy, giving them less chance of being accepted. So they're better off selling it, renting back, and then that way that's not a contingent offer going
And
forward.
just starting their search, is it even worth it for them to write offers contingent? Is it, I mean, do you,
Almost not. The higher you go up in price point, so it used to be that if you got up around 500,000, then there was more contingent offers. Now I think it's crept up even above that. If you're up in the higher end, 600,000 on up, there's more contingent offers accepted because there's less competition. There's less people buying in that.
so it's up to that point now.
Yeah.
So it's still moving pretty fast, even up to that.
Yes, it
That's
is.
incredible.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Adding value to your financial future, it's the Happy Hour with Rob Warner.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We were talking to John Lauer from Hybrid Brokers Realty and talking about all the frustrations that go on between buyers and sellers in this market, but also talking about how much business is still happening.
There is plenty of for a realtor that's willing to work and knows how to work. There's plenty of business. The thing that's kind of interesting right now is that it's so competitive that a real estate agent needs to know how to think outside the box. You can't just write an offer like you used to write an offer. It's got to be something that really stands out. Some people think, or some realtors and some buyers think, okay, well, the only way I'm going to get a house is just do some crazy over-the-top bid, way over appraised value and all that. And it certainly helps. I mean, people have money. But a lot of times there's other items that are maybe more important to the seller, and you need to kind of dig into that and find out what does the seller really need, and then put together an offer that is as strong as the other offers, maybe stronger, hits all the key points for the seller, and then knowing that you're going up against cash offers too, so try to shorten everything up as best you can.
So how do you find out what the sellers, what they want, what
You
they
have to-
need?
That's a great question, and here again, a lot of real estate agents never even consider doing this. But you need to call and basically interview the seller's agent. You need to ask them the questions. Don't be afraid to. They'll tell you. Ask them, do they need a rent back? Do they need a quick close? Do they need a longer close? There's all kinds of things that you can get creative with to make sure if that seller needs this, you make sure they get that. That way your offer is going to stand out.
Are most listing agents willing to share that info? Do they welcome it?
I think they do. It would be kind of foolish not to, I guess, if you will, because you want to give your seller everything they want and more. So why not let everybody know what that is, to make sure and bring them some good, high quality offers.
I actually, as a lender, I don't see it that much, what you're talking about, or I don't hear about it that much.
Well, when I have my listings and I'm receiving offers, I don't get it that much either. That's what I mean. You need
So you're writing a blind offer then. You don't really know what the person wants. You might be writing a fast escrow and they need extra time because they're relocating out of state, right?
That's right. I mean, there are times when a fast escrow is very desirable, but there's other times when it's not. So again, if you don't find that information out, you are doing it blind.
So this parlays me into how important is it to have a seasoned realtor?
It's very important. Right now, there's so many realtors out there, and when you've got, like that one, I'll use that example, you've got 24 offers coming in. What is going to make you stand out? Now, in that particular case, my client didn't get that offer. We came in kind of late to the gate, got an offer out really quick. But the interesting thing is the seller's agent confided in me, and he says, you made it to the top 3 out of our 24, and you weren't even close on the price, what people were offering. Now, ultimately, they went with somebody who offered a little bit more. But what it does, it's not going to guarantee you. But if they're going to put out, say, a counter offer, and usually they'll do that to the top 2 or 3, I want to at least get my client into that part where now we got a counter offer. They're kind of telling us where the other offers are, and we stand a better shot.
Why did you get up to the top 3? What made you in the top 3?
Well, I did that interview, as I was talking
Okay.
about, and I hit everything that they wanted, and I try to go over a little bit more. There's times when if a seller needs a rent back, we'll give maybe some free rent back time or some very reduced rent back fees. There's a lot of things you do. Find out what it is they need and just do these things. And a lot of times it doesn't even really cost your buyer much more, but you're finding those things that make the offer look super strong.
What do you, I have a lot of first-time home buyers I deal with. It's just the nature of it. There's tons of them out there, and,
Yes.
and they're feeling as frustrated as ever right now because they're using some kind of down payment assistance, right?
Yes.
Or some kind of financing that may not appeal to the, and I don't know why it doesn't, but I guess it, from a listing agent standpoint, it seems like a weaker offer.
Yes.
How can you help a buyer like that out? I mean, what can you do to make an offer like that? Can you do anything, or is it the same thing you're doing on anything else? Or
You affect the things you can. I mean, so everybody comes with what they've got to offer financially, their situation, and you have to make the best out of it. And for an example, I'm working with a couple right now that is CalVet, which is looked at even a little. So it's usually cash is king, and then a conventional financing's best, FHA, then VA, and then CalVet adds another layer onto VA, making it very challenging. Their $250,000 max price point, which is off the charts competitive. Because it's CalVet, they need a 3% seller credit back to pay for offset some of the closing costs. And so I got them into contract on our second attempt.
okay.
Now, we got out of contract too because the house had way too many problems with it once we did our inspections. But I got them into contract even working with that. And so you have your problems, and then what you have to do is maximize all the things that you can do. And again, one thing I do know is that a lot of the offers I'm going up against, again, are agents that don't really know how to write an offer in a way that would encourage somebody to take it.
Okay. Well, you better. I know we got a ways to go yet, but mention your contact information just right now. Is that okay?
Sure.
Just
No,
so-
absolutely. My direct line, my cell phone, I give that out to everyone, is 916-997-0208. And if you want to email me, it's john@lauerhomesales.com. Lauer is spelled Lauer.
Good. Thanks for putting that out there. I just thought it'd be nice to do it now instead of wait till we have to take a forced break. So talk to me about how important it is to have a quality lender involved on your transaction.
On my first, and I work with a lot of first-time buyers, I really enjoy them. I like instructing and teaching on the process of the sales. And one of the first things I tell them is that the lender that you have can make or break your chances for a deal. It's just as important as writing a strong offer. I have people that will come to me and say, oh yeah, I found this internet bank. You know, it's some name I've never heard of before because they can get a cheaper fee. That's not going to work. They want a lender who's here locally. The next challenging but a little bit better is I'm working with a client right now from the Bay Area. Well, I've got my favorite Bay Area lender down there. And I try to explain to them, so the number one thing is be local. If they're looking at a bunch of offers on the table and your lender happens to be out of the area and your offer's no better than the others, they'd prefer to go with somebody here local. Now that you come local, now you need to know somebody. Sometimes I don't want to misline some of the big banks, but some of the big banks aren't really attuned with how quickly we need to respond to hit our time frames, things like that. So you're better to go with somebody who is a mortgage lender like yourself, somebody who does that. That's all you do is you do mortgages. You know the importance of the time frames. You know how to get things ordered on time. The appraisal is done on time. And so to tighten up our numbers best we can. And to have somebody as pre-approved as possible, not just one of these little flimsy pieces of paper that don't mean anything, but really walk them through a full pre-approval process to a manual underwrite is what I like.
Yeah, I'm surprised at all the deals I find out that fall through. I really am. I've been doing this for 32 years, and I'm dumbfounded that how that can happen so many times.
Well, there's a lot of agents that are at fault as well, though. I'm sure you hear this. You can probably speak to it. You'll have a real estate agent just say, hey, just get them pre-qualified as quick as you can. I just need that piece of paper so I can write offers. That doesn't do anybody any good. Now, I don't want to get into it, get emotionally attached, and then all of a sudden find out there's an issue there and it blows up.
No, I know it is a frustration because I like to have all my documentation and know when I'm issuing that letter, I can back it up.
Absolutely.
So yeah, they're stressed. People want, they see a house they like, they want it, right?
Yeah,
you
right.
tell them, no, it's going to give me a few days, right? And then
Right.
all of a sudden they're looking right that minute they find something.
That's right. Don't fall in love because you might not be able to get it.
So challenges, move up buyers. Well, we were kind of talking about that, a move up buyer. You were kind of talking about that a little earlier.
It is. They jump into that very frustrating buyer's market right now. Again, buyers are challenged. I've got so many clients that are tired of looking. They see a house, they want to think about it for a couple days, and now it's pending. Well, when you're selling a house and you're now you're now in the buyer's market. They're experiencing that same frustration. So there's, again, they've got a couple things that they can work with to help their situation out a little bit. The ideal for a seller, honestly, if you can do it, not everybody can, is to be able to sell first, even if you can move in with somebody or have a temporary place while you look for a home. Usually you have a larger down payment because you just sold a house, makes your offer look a little bit stronger, and it's not a contingent offer. But a lot of people are holding back right now and not selling their homes because of the way the market is.
I know. I've got a couple, a family that just sold a house, just closed Friday, but the buyer's a Bay Area buyer, but it's given them, they have like 30 days now to stay in the house. But I feel like they're almost settling. They're trying to rush out there and just, because they're getting panicked. What happens if we don't find a place?
Right.
Then they're going to have to temporarily put everything in storage, I guess.
It's very stressful.
So what do you do? I mean, do you find people might even settle then and buy the house they really didn't want? I mean, how do you...
It's funny that you say that. That as actually right now it's gotten to where people just say, hey, I just got to get a house. I just got to get into contract on a house or I'm not going to be able to get anything. So some people are settling. They really are.
I know, but here they sold the house. This is what frustrates me when I watch this, right? I'm the lender, right? And I'm watching this whole thing occur, and I'm like, well, you just sold your house.
Right.
And you supposedly wanted to move into either a better house or maybe a smaller house, but still something
that better fits your needs.
That better fits your needs. And
right.
All of a sudden, now why are you looking at this house?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Well, and I think that's contributing to the lack of inventory in the market right now because of that exact problem. People are afraid to sell right now.
So we don't want to make it all about negativeness because actually there's a lot of people getting what they want, right? So I didn't mean to just make this show the negative part about it, but it's just frustrating and a challenge. So
it is, and I agree with you. I'm not a negative person. I have some people saying, well, why should I buy right now? We talked a little bit about a possibly little bubble building, but it's going to take a couple more years. It can't just over a couple of months or just a 6-month period. So everybody that I know that's buying, I had one couple that bought and almost 6 months later they were thinking they may have to sell. They had already had enough equity in the property that they could sell it and not lose a penny after 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So I know that you had a buyback guarantee, which doesn't really fit into this market right now, huh? Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah. So when the market's a little bit more normal, I guess you should say, I do have a guarantee when I list your home, if I don't sell at a price acceptable to you, that I will buy it for cash myself. In this market, unless a home has some very severe problems or is priced ridiculous, everything's selling. That's not an issue. Everything sells. So that guarantee doesn't really do anything for anybody at the moment. But what I also have, that goes along with the conversation we're just having where people are settling, buyers are settling and maybe not getting their ideal property. I have a guarantee anyone who purchases a home through me, I give them a 2-year kind of a cold feet, if you would, guarantee that if for some reason you don't like that home, I'll either buy it back. Now, obviously, it's going to be at a reduced rate so I can turn around and sell it again myself, or I'll sell it for free. I won't charge you any fee for me to sell it, as long as you're buying another home with me of equal or greater value, so we can go find you the right home.
So you're not going to charge them a commission on that?
Correct.
Home?
I would
for
not
that
charge
length of time?
For up to 2 years, yes.
All right. Throw your information out there one more time. We got to go to a halftime break.
Okay, so my phone number is 916-997-0208, or reach me at john@lauerhomesales.com.
Thanks, John. It's nice having you on. We'll be back in a minute.
Bringing helpful insights into many aspects of the mortgage and real estate industry, it's the Happy Hour with Rob Warner.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Rob Warner with Guild Mortgage, and we are welcoming our next guest, Zack Finley. Hey, Zack, how's it going today?
Hey, thank you for having us.
And you're with, you actually own Finley Home Services, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Finley Home Services, it's Finley Termite and Pest Control.
Okay.
Yeah, so we take care of all the termite and pest control needs here in the greater Sacramento area.
Well, tell me a little bit about yourself, Zack.
Well, I've been in this industry for about 21 years, believe it or not. I started down in Southern California. My stepdad owns a company down there called Gold Coast Pest Control in Ventura. He also has an office in Simi Valley. My brother and I helped get that going. And then my uncle owns a termite company down in Temecula. And then my twin brother here in Sacramento is one of my biggest competitors. So I've got family throughout the entire state in the pest control industry. And so it's kind of a blessing in disguise because we're able to utilize each other and information on how the market's going. And, we're regulated by the Structural Pest Control Board. So it's nice just kind of bounce some stuff off with people that you're close with.
That's amazing that it's stuck with everybody in the family, huh?
Yeah. I actually started, it was a Century 21 Finley Realty my grandparents owned down in San Fernando Valley. And so, I had a chance to either get into the real estate side of things or into the pest side of things. And here I am crawling underneath houses for a living, which I love.
Well, good. I don't know if I could say I love that or not. I've been under mine a few times. It hasn't been very pleasant. So anyway, let's talk about this pest business. One of the questions I had for you is, what is a pest report?
So it's interesting. Everyone looks at a pest control company and you just assume we're going out and just taking care of general pest control issues. But at the point of sale in a transaction, what they need is actually a wood-destroying organism report. We in the real estate community refer to it as a pest report, but really it's a wood-destroying organism report. And what we're looking for when we're out there is wood decay, fungi, dry rot. We're looking at excessive moisture conditions. We're looking for water stains. The only insects that we're looking for are termites. We have drywood termites and subterranean termites, and then we're also looking for wood-boring beetles. Those are the two kind of insects that will really cause damage to the wood. And so when we're out there, it's very important that everyone understands it is a wood-destroying organism report. We're looking for structural defects in the property, or like I said, excessive moisture conditions that can cause property damage. We're not necessarily out there at all to look for just your ants and general pest control. And one of the number one calls I get is, hey, I had a pest report. I have a clear pest report. I moved in, a week ago, and now I have ants. Or my HVAC guy came into the attic and saw some rodent activity. How is this possible if you just cleared the report? And then I have to explain to him, well, it's wood destroying. The rodents and the ants, those generally aren't something that would be covered as Section 1 or Section 2 items in our report.
But do you do all that type of pest stuff?
We do, yeah. Like I said, Finley Termite and Pest Control. So we have the termite division that going out there and inspecting the homes, writing up estimates for the repairs as well as the treatments. And then we also have another department that just covers your general pest control. Your regular, we can do a one-shot, which we offer a lot of times clients before they move into a house. We can come out and just do a one-time service. It's $99. We'll web the eaves down. We'll spray all around the exterior. So that way when they're in the moving process, moving in, they're not worried about having some ants coming in the first night that they spend the night there. So we have that division. We can also do bi-monthly service. So we come out every other month on a routine basis. The chemicals in the state here break down about every 45 to 60 days. And that's why you see most companies, some have used to be quarterly. Now almost all pest control companies are going bi-monthly because the chemical breaks down pretty quick. You're not able to extend it out every 3 months,
Talk about, I know this wasn't one of my questions, but you're bringing it up now, the chemicals you use. Are they hazardous to?
It's difficult, and I can't say that they're safe. However, I can say that in our state of California, we're highly regulated. We no longer have the old DERS ban, the oil-based stuff. The way we apply the chemical is really important. And what's nice is you'll see guys used to have big spray rigs in the back of their trucks, and you saw those trucks driving all over, and you'd put down, anywhere from 5 to 10 gallons of chemical spraying, up on the eaves and spraying all around. And now they limit to us to backpacks. So we're really just pinstream, cracks and crevices around the exterior. So instead of putting, 5 gallons down, we're putting maybe 1.5 gallons, but we're being very specific on where we're targeting those areas so we don't have any runoff or anything like that.
So a lot safer even for the environment and everything else, right?
What's interesting is the active ingredient for Tauruses, for example, for ants, is called fipronil. And fipronil is the same active ingredient that you can put like on dogs, the Advantage flea medicine, that you put the drops on the dog's back and the kids can play with the dog right there. That's the same active ingredient that we're spraying around the exterior. So literally the chemical would have to be sprayed in a manner where it's puddling up and dogs coming and drinking it for it to be hazardous. So we just ask homeowners if they have animals, they can go inside for maybe 5 minutes while we're spraying and it dries up and it's perfectly safe.
Very good. I know that's a concern for a lot of folks, I'm sure, especially ones that have a lot of animals, right?
Absolutely.
Myself included. So talk to me, how long is a pest inspection good for?
So it's interesting. A pest inspection, well, we'll call it a WDO inspection, wood destroying origin report, pest inspection.
Am I using the wrong terminologies every time?
You know,
then?
I try to change the real estate, industry to everyone to call it a WDO report, so that way the consumer wasn't misled and thinking we're looking at general pest. But I didn't have any success in doing that, and so I'm fine. I still call it a pest inspection. I just like to be clear of what we're looking for. So report is good for 4 months, 120 days, and it's very specific that start date is from the original date of the inspection. So if we go out to a property in January and we write up an estimate, and in March we clear that property, you're still 120 days, 4 months is back to that January date. So a lot of times an underwriter might look at the end of April, beginning of May at a closing date and think we're all fine because we sent that clearance out in March. However, they're going to look all the way back to January and make sure that report is good within 120 days. And a lot of times in VA, they'll want 90 days. And so it's just important understanding the date. Worst case scenario, we do an inspection, we clear a property, 120 days is getting close before the close of escrow. We go out and do a new update report. However, in this market, things sell quick. We really don't have to worry about that. Right now, people are getting the inspection within 30 days. The house is sold. And has changed hands.
Because I know there's a lot of sellers, and John we could have spoke about this. A lot of sellers that the agent recommends they do this report, right, and have the house even cleared before they.
I always enjoy having the inspections done right up front when the house is listed, so there's no red flags, because you don't know how many times we get into it at the very end of the deal. Everyone's kind of settled on a price, and they call us, and we're the bad guys because all of a sudden we found $2,500 worth of stuff, and now they're going back to the drawing table and negotiating price. Where if a seller can offer a clear pest report, or at least be up front with, hey, here's what's going on, and here's the terms we're willing to deal with, it makes the deal go way smoother, and everyone's up front and everyone understands what they're getting themselves into.
And even a seller who hasn't even listed yet could employ you to come out and do that for them, right?
I think it's really important. I mean, dry rot occurs so quickly, especially here in the greater Sacramento area, with extreme winters that we have and the wet rains, and then the extreme heat in the summer. Dry rot can come in very, very quickly. So I tell everyone, have your house inspected, not just when you're selling it. Have your house inspected, every 3 to 5 years if you're planning on staying there for a while. And those little things, the little dry rot things, or the little excessive moisture conditions, we can catch a lot of those things when they're very, very minor. And a lot of them just can be locally repaired, paint, some caulking, and you're done. Versus letting it wait till you sell it 7, 8 years later and having another $1,000 worth of dry rot.
That's very wise advice. What does it cost to get a inspection?
So it's $95 for an inspection. If it's a raised foundation or in a detached structure, we charge $20 more.
Wow, that's not a bad investment.
Yeah, so for $100 every few years to have a little bit of peace of mind is good.
As a general rule, when I'm doing a listing, if I have a construction background, but I'll look around the property. If I see anything that's of question, I always highly recommend for $100. Have it, and I've seen pest reports come back at $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. Well, wouldn't you like to know that in advance instead of the shock and then possibly lose a deal?
Absolutely.
And then I also tell people on both home and pest, you should do it every couple of years, because we just live in our houses and don't notice things. Have somebody come and give it an exam. Go see the doctor. You
could have potentially saved thousands of dollars just by having it routinely checked every now and then, right? Just like anything else.
Absolutely. You don't know how many times people live in their house for 20, 30 years, and they'll say, every year around April, I have these little bugs that fly out of the wall. And I get underneath there. But then they go away after a week or two. They go away. I'll spray them with some Windex. Unfortunately, they're not crawling way up underneath the house and seeing the damage to the subfloor and the floor joist and the girder. And so now they've got, $10,000 worth of sub-area work because they let those little bugs, keep the little termites keep doing the work. So if they would have caught that from the beginning, we could have done a soil treatment for a few $100s, and it would have been done and eliminated all that.
Yeah. Okay. Good. That's good advice. So now, once you do one of these inspections and everything is, then you'll go and give a bid, right? Just kind of talk about the procedure and how long, and then talk about the clearance.
Yeah, so what happens is we go out, we perform an inspection. We'll go through the outside of the house, the inside of the house, and then we'll go underneath the house and take a look. We'll write an estimate, and we'll price everything out. So if there's some dry rot or there's some termites, we'll itemize every item around the house, and then we'll also give a price. Our company has repair crews that go out there and will fix the damage. We caulk it, we prime paint it. If the homeowner wants to provide finish paint, we can even finish paint it for them. Once that work is completed, then we can issue what's called an NOC, which is a notice of completion, with the certification verbiage that pretty much says your house is now free and clear of infestation or infection in the accessible and visible areas. And so it's very nice just to have the inspection done. It's very nice to also have the repair work done and have that peace of mind. We don't, as pest companies, you don't have to use us or any pest companies. You can just use us for the inspections. And if you have a reliable, good contractor that wants to do the work, they can come out and do the repair work as well. If that happens, we just come out and do what's called a re-inspection. And we just want to walk the property and make sure that the re-inspection, that everything was captured and taken care of.
So how long is that clearance good for then?
So the clearance, the whole report's good for 120 days. So what's hard is if we clear that property, as I was using an example earlier, in March, but we did the inspection in January, that clearance isn't good for 120 days from March. It's still back to the original date of that January 1st or whenever we did the inspection.
Oh, the clearance is
the clearance isn't a separate thing. The clearance is only good for as long as the report's good for. So after 120 days, you have to go do a whole new inspection. We'll do a new updated. So pretty much if we go clear the property and 2 months later the report has expired, what we would then do is go out and do a new updated report, a whole new report.
So I was wrong then. The inspection and the clearance are the same time. I don't know why I had it in my mind that it was longer for the clearance.
Yeah, nope. It goes back. It's 4 months, 120 days from the original date of the inspection, and that's where it sometimes gets confusing. And like I said, there's a lot of times we get down to last minute and everyone's about to sign, and they go, "Hey, this report's expired." They go, "No, we just got the clearance 3 weeks ago." Well, the report's now 5 months old because they did the inspection back in January.
Well, hold that thought, Zach. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Absolutely.
Now, back to the happy hour with Rob Warner on Money 105.5 and Money1055.biz.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We were talking with Zack Finley, and we were talking about pest I'm going to say it wrong again. Say it again.
Wood destroying organism report.
Oh,
Pest,
wow, that's a mouthful.
We'll call it a pest inspection.
But anyway, inspections and clearances, we were talking about 120 days from the date the inspection was done. And so that's real helpful information. Listen, Zach, I know being a lender, maybe these numbers aren't as high right now, and you can attest to this, John, but there's a lot of flippers out there right now that buy properties and then they remodel them or whatever they do, fix them up, do a paint job, and they remarket the properties. So, you've spoken to this before, Zach. Can you speak a little bit to the fact of how these reports, how consumers can find out what kind of reports are available on a piece of property?
Absolutely. So, between my company alone, last month we did over 400 inspections. And so a lot of times we have to utilize, when we go out to the inspection, we'll call it lipstick on a pig. We walk into a house and all of a sudden it looks too good to be true. You're like, okay, 30 days ago, we're looking at the pictures online and it was, dilapidated, and here, everything looks beautiful. But we always want to know what's going on behind the scenes, and we used to see this more with flippers and, but what's nice, a few years ago, the Structural Pest Control Board, we have to send, as pest companies, we have to, by law, when we do the inspection, we have to post a tag in the garage or somewhere at the house and note on a report where we posted our tag saying that we had visited the property. The other thing that we do, within every 10 business days, we have to also submit that. We have to pay a fee to the Structural Pest Control Board and submit our reports to the Structural Pest Control Board. But what's nice is, a general consumer, you now have access to that pest report online. So if you just went to Google and typed in Structural Pest Control Board, right when you get to that website, you can just click online services, and then a database. It's a wood destroying organism database, and you just simply type in the address of the property you're interested in, and it'll pull up and show you whether a pest report has been done there or not. Because what we're seeing, unfortunately or fortunately, when we post our tag, some people don't know to look for those tags. A lot of times, too, homeowners might not want the tag there in their garage or wherever we posted it and might take it down. So when you're walking the property, a lot of times you'll notice the tag. If you don't, you can always go back and do a search and see if the property's been inspected. If you see that it has been inspected, you simply fill out a quick little form, send it to the board, and they'll send you a copy of that report. And so it's just nice to utilize. We were seeing at one time, I was seeing 3 or 4 different companies out at one house within a 30-day period, because what was happening is people would have company A come out, do an inspection. They might find termites in the garage expansion joint and several other things. And the contractor, whoever's doing the work, goes and gets a wire brush, cleans off those tubes, wipes them down, and then calls termite company B. Hey, can you guys come out and do a pest inspection? If I get there, I am only responsible for what's accessible and visible at the time of my inspection. So if those termite tubes aren't there when I'm there, you know, that buyer may not be protected with that, and they might move in, and 30 days later the tube comes right back up, and then wondering, hey, how is this not caught? But if it was not accessible or visible at the time of my inspection, and so that's why we utilize it a lot. Unfortunately, we try to do a 24-hour turnaround on our reports. So if I do inspection Monday, you're going to get the report Tuesday. There are some times where I have to explain to the clients, hey, you know what, let me do a little research on this. Let me do some homework and find out who's been out here before. I'm pretty sure, because of the indication I'm seeing, another inspector or 2 have been out here. Let me find out why and what's going on.
How do you know that? What gives you that clues?
Usually holes in the wood. You'll see the little poke marks, you know. So a lot of times, you know, if the contractor's trying to cover stuff up or, you know, paint over stuff, they won't capture everything. We kind of know where to look for, you know, where the barge rafters meet the fascia and the corners in some different areas. I'll look and I'll walk around the property, and you'll see, and I'll see that there's already indication that there's somebody's used a probe stick and probed into it.
Wow. So you, at that point in time, contact the structural pest control board?
If I'll look for the tag, and most every pest company, I mean, most of them all up here are great to work with, you know, and I'll call them directly usually, because I know as a owner of a pest company, it's a matter of public records. So if I have another company or somebody call and say, hey, could I, you know, get the report that you guys did? I saw your tag. I'm going to release it. You know, I have no reason not to. I know that all they have to do is go through the board to get it. So most companies are really easy to work with. Obviously, if the homeowner's taken the tag down, I had no idea who was there.
That's what I'm talking
then
about.
I do have to go through the structural pest control board.
But it's 10 days, right? You have up to 10 days.
Within 10 days to submit the report. So yeah, if I go out just a couple days after another company and call the board, they might not have submitted their report. And so there's kind of a little bit of research and homework that needs to be done there. The other way we utilize it is a lot of times I'll be walking a property, and you might see in the suburb, you might see some termite tubes inactive, or you might see a little tube coming up the foundation wall, but you'll see some drill holes. My indication's like, hey, it's already been treated. Maybe this isn't new. Maybe they just forgot to scrape down the old evidence. And so what's nice is I can do some research and some homework through the structural pest control board, or calling the company and saying, hey, when was this treated? How come these tubes weren't? And a lot of times it might just be something, a quick overlook by the technician.
I don't know, but I think this is a huge thing to know about, because I've just seen so many people buy homes and then get into them, and some months later there's some issues. And had they had this information, they could have probably headed that off early on.
You mentioned flips. I just had one here a little bit back. It was in an area that's up and coming. As the home was built in 1925. Whoever flipped it, I mean, did a gorgeous job. Beautiful top to bottom. The structure was just immaculate. And I could see a person saying, well, I want to save the $100 and I'm not going to do the pest on this. We had him crawl it. Everything looked incredible until he got to one area underneath the house and found not the subterranean, but the other kind that they had to tent this whole house that was done top to bottom to kill the bugs off inside of it. That they had saved $100 would have cost them thousands.
You mean before they did the rehab, right?
So whoever the rehabbers were,
Yeah.
they probably got rid of a lot of it, but they either missed an area or they tried to cut this one area short. But I mean, I don't think they did it intentionally, because the rest of the house was immaculate. They did a beautiful job.
But in that
But they missed
example that John's giving, Zach, somebody buying a house to flip it would be advisable to get the report done, right?
Absolutely. Every time the house at the point of sale should have the inspection done. I think in that case, you know, like he said, they tried to save $100. It looked great. And if they would have moved in and not knowing, then those drywood termites were there in the fumigation, you know, you're probably looking at $1,500, $2,500 to fumigate that house. And that $95 was saved it. And to your point, I think what's great is most contractors are right. They're good, ethical. They just don't know what to look for. They don't know that mud tube is subterranean termites. They just, you know, they're out there and they're putting the facade, you know, that face on the house, and they're not looking at the nitty gritty of stuff that we're looking at. And so it's really important to have that stuff done.
So what prep needs to go into a home prior to an inspection being performed?
You know, it really depends on, like I said, we are responsible for what's accessible and visible. So obviously an occupied house, there's some I've been into, just hoarders, where you're just kind of, you're very limited on what you can see. And so we just have to disclose that. And the buyers are unfortunately a little bit at risk there, going, hey, if that's unknown area, we either have the option of asking the seller to remove that stuff from the garage or from the inside the house to make it accessible. But really what we like to see is we want to see the perimeter of the garage. So those expansion joints, when the contractor pours a slab foundation or even a raised foundation, and the garage will pour them separate into what creates an expansion joint. And it's just a little 1/8 inch of gap where they'll come up between the concrete. So we want to see that area in the garages. We also want underneath the any of the sinks. We want those areas to be cleared out so we can see the P-trap. We can see if it's leaking. We can see the angle stops and make sure nothing's going on underneath there. Really, the less stuff in the house, the better it is, the more we can see. Unfortunately, a lot of houses, the older ones, they'll have carpet in the bathrooms. We try to go where the stall shower will try to lift up the carpet a little bit. We don't want to deface anything. We don't want to damage anything. So we try to walk, as lightly as we can, but we also want to do as good, thorough investigation as we can. So as much stuff that can be pulled away from the walls. Because unfortunately, I've had houses, you do the inspection, the refrigerator's in place. We don't pull the refrigerators out, and your water supply line for the freezer there is behind that wall, and you'll have a small little leak there. And here we give a clearance, seller moves out, takes their fridge with them, and now there's some water damage in the sheetrock. And so now the buyer moves in going, hey, what's going on? Who takes care of this? And we help out as a company. I mean, I'm a small business owner. We help out in every way we can in those situations.
Good job. Talk to me about what the typical, what types of termites do we see in this area normally?
So, I grew up in Ventura County. We saw a lot of drywood termites. Bay Area, you're going to see a lot of drywood termites. You're going to fumigate a lot of houses. Drywood termites don't need the moisture down in the soil. They fly into the eaves, they fly into the siding, and they live outside that soil. So the only way to really eradicate them would be to fumigate the house. And those are drywood termites. The good news is here in the greater Sacramento area, we don't see a lot of drywood termites. I've been here now 14 years, and I've probably fumigated, 40, 50 homes between drywood termites and beetles. 80% of the time, if I find termites at a house, 90% of the time, it's going to be subterranean termites. Good news, bad news about subterranean termites, they do require a lot of moisture. They live down in the soil. Subterranean termites are allowed to eat through the wood a little bit quicker. They can eat through the wood and cause more structural damage quicker. However, they're way easier to eradicate.
Give your number. We're running up on time.
All right. Zack Finley here with Finley Termite and Pest Control. My number is 741-2847. Thank you very much.
Sorry we had to cut you short, but it's great to have you on the show. We'll see everybody next week. Have a great week, everyone.